Hello, this is part 5 of the series, the LUE Waybill Solved, Elora, Uraka, and Trary, which are the 3 letters Karl Von Mueller claims were on the back of the waybill, and that's why they call it the LUE, taking the first 3 letters of those 3 words. Now in the previous parts of the series, I deciphered all the markings on the LUE waybill, and I briefly described my attempt to purchase the property because I know where the gold caches are located. Again, contrary to what some believe, you are not going to simply walk onto this property and make a night run with an off-the-shelf metal detector and a spade, expecting to make a quick dig of gold and acquire sudden wealth. Yes, that is a dig at those who read Karl Von Mueller's books, one of which is entitled Sudden Wealth. The gold is buried deep in this property beyond the depth capacity of any toy metal detector, as I've described to others before. Also in the previous segments, I forgot to mention what the term IAYAYAM key means, which is the I am yours and you are mine key, some claimed. Also in my first video, I made an error calling it the IATAYAM key. That was my typographical mistake. I apologize. First, the IAYAYAM key is the series of triangles in the bottom quadrant, which I've highlighted in red. The circle is the I, as in the letter I, but it matches with the I. The triangles form the other letters. The A's are the large font character size, and the Y and the M's are small character fonts to form IAYAYAM. The key is attributed to the pilot's directions and distances used by the pilot to locate the LUE site landing strip, which is used in conjunction with the arrowhead, which points north as I described before. So let me clarify that. The first A is here. Okay, you can see it's pretty plain. Alright, I got to clear that off. And the Y is here in the red, small y. And then you have another, going back to the left, you have another A, and then another Y here in the blue and the green lines I drew. See? I, A, Y, then back to the left, A, Y, A, and then the blue lines show a small m to form I, A, small y, A, small y, large A, and small m. Again, some people have claimed that it can be deciphered as I am yours and you are mine, attributed to God in some form. I don't really want to go into that. That's kind of superfluous, what I'm trying to describe in this part of the series. Another interesting attribute is 11th ray emanating from the sun compass. It connects directly to the lightly shaded line off to the right on the map, which matches the 100-foot level on the vertical survey stick, attributed to the clump of trees in the property 144 miles from the point of origin, or the takeoff point the pilot took. And the upside down triangle, which I shaded and projected from the first triangle, contains the circle, or the eye. So I'm trying to describe here, just to reiterate, is there's a light in the LUE map, you'll find this light black line. The pyramid lines up exactly with the 100-foot marker, which identifies the vertical height of the clump of trees in the property. You know what I mean. As I described before, the shaded upside down triangles and the projected pyramid shapes are attributed to the theodolite drawn projection to the cache sites on the LUE property. As you can also see, all these elements indicate the LUE project was operated and executed by very brilliant people. as others have speculated that certain elements on the LUE waybill were added to deceive people who tried to decipher it. But as I've shown, that isn't the case. Every element is used. Every marking diagram has a measuring purpose. The LUE treasure isn't a hoax either, as others believe, who think Karl Von Mueller drew the map as a publicity stunt. Let me move forward to describe my evolution thinking as to why and who were the people involved in hiding the LUE treasure. This is a 1940 snapshot of the Camp Bird mine, which is located near Ouray, Colorado, which made Thomas Walsh extremely wealthy. The Camp Bird mine was named after the birds, the Rocky Mountain Jays, who stole and ate the miners' lunches. Can that be attributed to the word uraka, which also translates to mockingbird? I'm not exactly certain. Here's a Walsh family snapshot from Evelyn Walsh's book, Father Struck It Rich. She's shown on the right, which you can download a copy of the book as well. Walsh moved his family to Washington, D.C., and Evelyn Walsh married the heir to the Washington Post, Edward Beale McLean. Her husband purchased the Hope Diamond for her from Pierre Cartier, believe it or not, in New York City, which she is shown wearing in this snapshot. She was the last person to own the Hope Diamond. Here's an excerpt from the book that I found interesting. Okay, it's from her writing. Rarely less than 80 pounds of refined gold was produced per day at the Camp Bird mine. In addition, the Camp Bird mine produced a carload of riches in less dramatic form called concentrates, which was worth $150 per ton at that time. Here's another excerpt from Walsh's book. Note that Tom Walsh had become a Mason, just like her grandfather. Is that a secret society connection to the LUE? Walsh sold the Camp Bird mine to British investors in 1902 and moved to Washington, D.C. soon thereafter. So I believe that moved him out of the picture because the LUE waybill seems to be dated to the early to mid-1930s. However, I speculated that the British investors might be involved with the LUE. Here's a 1930s snapshot showing a Felon Brothers pickup truck unloading gold concentrates in Ouray. Felon Brothers was in the business of trucking gold concentrates in the area around Ouray and Silverton, which was the base, Ouray was the base of the Camp Bird mine. Notice the Denver and Rio Grande Western Railroad car. Note the tarp below the bed of the tilted dump truck catching gold concentrates. I thought that was interesting. Here's another snapshot showing the workers loading a wheelbarrow of concentrates into the rail car, which I found in a series of pictures showing these workers dumping the gold concentrates into a wheelbarrow in the rail car. Another picture shows the workers shoveling the concentrates into a wheelbarrow, but also note the sign on the rail car which states, "A sign for concentrate service between Silverton and Alamosa." With that in mind, I researched the Denver and Rio Grande Pacific Railroad. Here's a 1930s map of the rail line. Further research indicated concentrates were railed from Ouray in Silverton to Durango, then to Alamosa, and there was a large gold and silver smelter in Durango at that time. If you look closely, you'll see the rail line from Ouray to Durango is the RGS rail line. I discovered that was the Rio Grande Southern. I spent many hours rather enthralled learning about the history of the small Rio Grande Southern Railroad, which had an amazing system of trestles and bridges and often faced financial trouble. It was created by a person, this guy was prolific in building trestles and rail lines and automobile lines in really dangerous levels. You can check it out yourself. Just look up the history of the Rio Grande Southern. The Denver and Rio Grande Southern went out of business in 1953. Here's a snapshot showing a crew dismantling the railroad, and that was taken in 1952. Here's the thing. None of the old or modern rail lines I researched move very close to the LUE cache property. In fact, Further research indicated the road nearby the property wasn't paved until the mid-1970s, which led me to deduce that the gold cache wasn't moved by rail nor truck, because it was only a dirt road in the 1930s and it was at least 50 miles away from any small town. But there is another important clue shown on this Denver and Rio Grande map, which I won't mention in this video, which helped me determine the LUE cache was flown to the site, not trucked nor railed. Now let me step back a moment to review and understand my thinking in solving the LUE waybill and discovering the cache locations on the property. Who would be expert in building an underground tunnel system and would probably be a civil engineer and member of the Triangle fraternity than someone employed in building tunnels for a mining company, right? So in other words, all these pieces with the symbols and all the different elements and measurements in my findings indicated a person was a member of the Triangle fraternity, and there was heavy civil engineering work done on this LUE cache site. Also, I still considered it would be feasible to deliver railroad cars to one location where the gold concentrates might have been transferred to a truck like this picture of Felon Brothers, then dump the gold concentrates on the property. Though 15 miles between the two locations, for example the rail yard and the site, it might make the project more cumbersome and time consuming, I still believed it could be possible. Now, where and why would they dump the gold concentrates on one location? On the 40-acre field to either store and or level the land to make a landing strip. In other words, I believe the person whom allowed Hard Rock Hammond and Karl Von Mueller to copy the LUE waybill was aware the landing strip was 40 acres, which Karl Von Mueller knew and told Tom Hilton back in 1970. I believe Karl Von Mueller mentioned in other publications a portion of the LUE cache was raw gold. That would be concentrates, right? So then, with a bit of research I learned in order how do you build a mining tunnel. So the standard practice is to build an entrance, right? Dig a vertical shaft for ventilation in order to evacuate in case there's a problem, the mine collapses or the tunnel collapses. Have a location of the property to dump and pile the tailings from the excavating. And a water management system so the tunnel doesn't get flooded with rainwater or groundwater, as shown in this picture with a waterfall coming out of the mining entrance. This is an old mine from Nevada, but you can see there's a waterfall coming out of that mine shaft. So then, right there in the LUE property is a vertical tunnel entrance. Here's an outline of one of the vaults and tunnels with a small seasonal stream running right next to it, which is used to drain rain and groundwater. And here's one large berm alongside a drainage ditch and a seasonal stream. I believe there's another underground tunnel or vault covered by the berm. As you can see, it lines up exactly with one of the theodolite projections I drew, as shown in the previous parts of the series. Of course, I've made these pictures a bit unrecognizable so you won't find the LUE cache location. I don't want anybody else to know where it is. However, if you can find this hidden car on Google Earth, there's 10 ounces of gold in the glove compartment waiting to be taken, according to the spectroscopy expert who viewed my drone footage. Now I'm going to tell you the truth, I don't know if that's a car or a duck blind, but I want to go down there and find out. That also leads me to another possible group of people who may have been involved with the LUE gold. I read elsewhere that certain parties who smuggled large quantities of gold from Germany before World War II and hid them in automobile engine blocks. And they arranged the cars in a desolate location in the United States, never to be intended to be sold to the public. So that's the end of this part of the series, and the next part I'll talk about some of the other people that I believe were involved possibly in the LUE treasure cache site and drawing the waybill. But in this case, I try to show you that it seems to me there are some very talented and highly experienced civil engineers that created these tunnels. Again, you're not just going to walk onto this property with a spade and a little toy metal detector to expect to find it a few feet deep. This was a large and extravagant project, and as I showed, every element on the LUE waybill is accounted for and used as a measurement. So I hope you enjoyed this part of the series, and I'll probably make another one as well. Bye now.